The chosen one. This message did not find you by chance. God has brought you here for a purpose. You felt something rising inside you. A fire, a stirring, a boldness that cannot always be explained. And there is opposition you cannot always avoid. That's because, like Elijah, you carry a torch for the world. The enemy, even others around you may sense it. This message is for those who have journeyed alone, been misunderstood, characterized as too intense, too spiritual, or too much. The reality is, you aren't too much. You are simply on fire. Those who are spiritually chilly are unable to cope with such heat. You, like Elijah, were asked not to fit in, but to confront, ignite, and change the environment. And the fire you're carrying, it is not natural. It is not emotive. It is divine. Opinions, delays, treachery, or even solitude cannot put out this fire. Let's divide this into 7 strong chapters so your soul understands what you've been carrying and why it's going to transform everything. Before we delve in, please like, share, and subscribe, because this message is more than simply substance. It's a heavenly affirmation for the chosen ones who bear fire, as well as a sincere thank you to everyone who has supported us via wonderful gratitude. May God generously bless you. Your presence, prayers, and harmony with this frequency are not overlooked. To those who continuously tune in, listen to your spirit, and follow the narrow road, I am very thankful. If you can sense the weight of this message already, write in the comments right now that the number is not random. It is a prophetic indication that your spirit is awake. It indicates you're prepared. Prepare to blaze brighter. You are now ready to begin your Elijah assignment. Prepare to walk with the type of fire that darkness cannot grasp. This message is not intended for the audience. This is for the cord. Only the really selected will reach the finish. Those that do will gain clarity, bravery, and a better understanding of why their life has never been like everyone else's. This is not a term you hear once and then forget. This is spiritual fire, a blueprint that evolves layer by layer each time you return to it. Watch it again when your spirit needs nourishment. When your soul is tired, listen again, for God will spark something new. Let's go deeper. Chapter 1. You were not born to fit in. You were born to burn. The chosen one from the start. Your route was different. It's not easy, not louder, but uniquely and divinely created. Like Elijah, you did not come to fit in with the culture or adapt to man-made institutions. You come bearing something hazardous to the darkness. A holy fire. You were born to burn. Elijah did not need a crowd to validate him, and neither do you. He did not need a title to walk in authority. He did not seek consolation. He sought God. He was not popular, yet he wielded considerable authority, and his authority did not stem from individuals. The presence of God electrified his spirit. Similarly, you were not asked to be normal, quiet, or predictable. You were asked to stand while others bend and talk. What other people are frightened to say, to dwell apart, even if it cost you everything. When you attempted to conform to the throng, you always felt a sense of tension and internal resistance. When you are surrounded by surface-level life, it causes spiritual pain. That mute irritation you feel when you're in rooms with God's words, but not his fire. That is not arrogance. That is discernment. It is the mark of someone who carries something sacred, heavy, or expensive. You were not born to adapt. You were born to ignite. You hold a divine rupture inside you, a blaze that refuses to be contained, a boldness that defies logic on paper but makes perfect sense in paradise. And that's why your life has never been average. That is why compromise weakens your spirit. That's why falling into materialistic routines feels like suffocating for your spirit. Because you are not designed to dim. You were designed to be disruptive. Elijah faced false prophets, sent down fire on empty Carmel, and demolished demonic shrines. But before he did any of it in public, he was burning in private. His life was set aside. His ears were tuned to the heavens, and his heart was fervently seeking truth. That is your model. That's your mantelpiece. You, like Elijah, have been asked to disrupt patterns, upset institutions, and bring life where religion has suppressed it. You've been questioning God why your path seems so lonely. Why do your beliefs appear stronger than others? Why your spiritual radar detects what others overlook? It's because the fire you're carrying is unusual. It's not designed for comfort. It's designed for conflict. You're not here to be liked. You're here to get lit. And this is the reality. The sooner you stop trying to fit into areas that were never meant for your spark, the more liberated you'll be when you stop apologizing for your boldness and embrace your divine vocation. The more power flows through your life. The chosen one. Don't turn down your passion only to make others happy. Do not justify your discernment, only to be accepted. You were not born to fit in. You were born to burn. Every time you truly embrace that fact, another spiritual link breaks. Another atmosphere alters. Another soul has woken. This world does not need any more copycat Christians. It needs more. Elijah has more fire. And the fire is you. Chapter 2. The fire invites conflict, yet it cannot be quenched. The chosen one. Warfare was inevitable as soon as Elijah accepted his calling. The same fire he summoned from heaven rendered him a marked man in the domain of evil. He was both anointed and pursued. He wielded authority, but he was also under pressure. He performed miracles while still fighting fear, exhaustion, and even loneliness. Sounds familiar? You've been wondering why the assaults seemed personal, why some individuals went cold without reason, and why your name came up in talks you never had. Why do the rooms you enter into alter before you even speak? The solution is straightforward. Your dread is genuine. Hell knows it. The adversary does not spend time on the lukewarm. He does not pursue those who represent no danger. He opposes those who burn. And you choose one. Carry a flame that shakes the foundations. That is why your conflict hasn't eased up. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're doing it correctly. You are living evidence that God's fire is still present and working in our time. When Elijah faced the prophets of Baal, the conflict was much than just words. It was a war for worship. And at that point, Firefly made a statement. God responds with fire, and his fire destroys everything that is counterfeit. Your life, speech, and anointing have the same authority. The fire inside you does more than merely glow. It exposes. It discloses what is untrue. It agitates the pious. It incites opposition in those who are still attempting to hide behind spiritual masks. This is why places might seem tight when you enter. It's not that you're being too dramatic or imaginative. It's because your presence bears a sacred conflict. And anything that isn't in line with the truth cannot be comfortable around someone who is. But here's something you should remember. The conflict may come, but the fire will not be doused. Your flame was not man-made. It was not created by applause. It was not ignited by platform or popularity. It was lit in the secret location. God fueled that fire in your hours of prayer, quiet obedience, and devastating seasons that no one saw. And whatever he begins, hell cannot halt. The adversary will attempt to extinguish your spark by sending spiritual, emotional, and relational storms. He will attempt to discourage, isolate, and wear you down. He will use fear to immobilize you and diversion to derail you. But the fact remains, he cannot release what heaven has sealed. Even at your lowest times, your fire flickers, but it will never die. Even when melancholy threatened to settle on your chest and tiredness whispered, "Give up," the flame remained burning because the one who ignited it was right there, breathing on it, fanning it, and protecting it until you could rise again. Don't be deceived by the heat. Don't allow the pressure make you feel defeated. That heat provides assurance. It's proof that you're on fire. And the fire is costing hell territory. It's upsetting traditional systems. It is breaking generational curses. It's changing atmospheres. It is waking the slumber. Yes, it draws conflict, but it also draws the attention of heaven. So stand steady. Do not allow fear to make you shrink. Do not allow rejection become you bitter. Don't allow combat tiredness make you question your task. You were born for this. Your fire was intended to survive storms. The adversary may surround you, but he cannot destroy you. The pressure may build, but your flame will not go out because the fire inside you is more than simply protection. It is prophesy, and it won't go out. Chapter 3. The fire you carry makes you a target and a danger. The chosen one. Elijah did not desire fame, yet his fire made him well known. He did not want influence, but his loyalty made him a danger to kingdoms. He didn't wander about seeking attention. but the power he wielded required an answer. He went everywhere in the same manner. The fire you carry makes you visible in the spirit world and recognizable to those who work in darkness. Elijah's fire endangered Jezebel's dominion, interrupted false prophets, and brought justice to a corrupt society. His whole presence embodied conflict and passion, not in body but in spirit. And this is what you bring to holy boldness, which breaks compromise. A heavenly weight that brings order into chaos. You have a presence that communicates before you even utter a word. People can sense it. Spirit, feel it. Systems respond to it. That is why you have encountered opposition in unusual areas. That is why some doors close without a clear cause. That is why some individuals alter when you enter the room, because your fire disturbs what has been safely buried. You do not even need to proclaim your mantle. The fire does this for you. You were never created to blend in. You were born to stand out. You're a spiritual menace. Not because you are loud, but because your presence conveys truth. Not because you desire confrontation, but because your survival demands compromise. The opponent sees that you will not kneel or bend, and that you are not easily purchased. But you pray. When others panic, you should fast. When others feed their flesh, you must comply. When the going gets tough, tell the truth, even if it's unpopular. That makes you a threat not to individuals, but to principalities. Understand that being a target isn't a curse. This is confirmation. If hell has marked you, it indicates that heaven has already approved you. You are not under assault because you are weak. You're under assault because your fire is costing hell something. Your path is making the devils uncomfortable. Your purity exposes corruption. Your voice is rocking religious institutions. Your simple presence is breaking patterns of complacency. You expose what others are attempting to conceal. You provide clarity to places where uncertainty thrived. You do not play church. You are the church, a living, breathing temple full with flames. And for those who thrive in darkness, the burning becomes excruciating. However, for those who are longing for freedom, that same fire serves as their breakthrough. Don't back down simply because you're misunderstood. Don't lower your flame merely to go across the room. If you've been targeted, it's because you have something this generation sorely needs. You were not designed for shallow seas. You were created to make a significant influence. Your anointing is inherently disruptive. Your life contradicts the enemy's goal, and that is precisely why you are required. You do not carry only words. You have weight. You don't operate on empty charisma. You exercise authority. You do not show up for attention. You turn up for your task. So, when the conflict begins, don't doubt your value. When the doors shut, don't doubt your purpose. When individuals go, do not doubt your objective. The fire proves everything. You are not just anointed. You have been appointed. You aren't merely picked. You are charged. And no weapon made against you will succeed because it cannot withstand the fire you bear. Chapter 4. God is your source, and He maintains your fire. The chosen one. When God starts a fire, He also accepts responsibility for maintaining it. In 1 Kings, we encounter Elijah during a drought, when everything around him is drying away. The land had not received any rain. People had no resources. But Elijah had something more potent than supply. He had a provider. God ordered ravens, which are filthy birds, to feed him every day. That alone should reveal anything. When you carry heaven's fire, you will never be without what you really need. Elijah did not seek favor. He did not beg rulers or dilute his message. He trusted God. And in that confidence, God demonstrated that He is the source. The world may label it a miracle, but in paradise, it is only upkeep. When you walk in divine fire, you accept divine accountability. God does not forsake what He flames. He nourishes, protects, and defends it like a sacred light. This is why your fire does not rely on hype. It does not feed on attention or acclaim. You don't remain bright just because you have followers. You remain illuminated because you are grounded in God's presence. Your fire isn't for show. It's for a reason. Spiritual discipline helps to keep purpose alive. Your prayer life serves as your ignition source. Your adoration is your fuel. Obedience is the oil. And your capitulation keeps the flame burning. When the wind blows, You cannot consider these things optional. You can't feed your spirit with distractions and expect to burn. Your spirit needs more because your vocation necessitates it. That's why your walk has seemed so narrow. Why God removed you from certain individuals and platforms. It is not punishment. It provides protection. There are partnerships that carry water when God needs your flame to flourish. Some possibilities seem to be blessings, but they are saturated with compromise and God's wisdom and holiness. Remove them before they may contaminate what is pure. He understands what you're carrying. He understands what happens when oil is put into filthy containers. So he sanctifies, divides, and sometimes conceals. He will make you feel alone just long enough to realize you were never alone. Because he persisted even in the midst of quiet and the disappearance of others. Not only did he stay, he persevered. When you did not have a platform, he empowered you without a pulpit. He provided you with his presence when you needed it most. He gave you strength. He fed you silently. He talked to you when no one else could hear. He constructed you in the cave to keep your fire from flickering on the mountainside. That is the God you worship. Someone who fuels what he creates. Someone who finishes what he begins. That is why your fire will not die. Your source is supernatural. As long as you remain close to him, your flame will blaze. You do not need to struggle. You should remain. Stay true to his word. Stay at the mysterious location. Stay humble. Remain spiritually dependent. The fire inside you is sacred. It must be nourished with the truth. Chapter 5. Your fire is for others. Not just you, the selected one. The fire you bear is not for amusement. It's not about popularity. It is not for applause. Elijah did not bring down fire on Mt. Carmel to improve his reputation. He did it to restore a rebellious country to its senses. That moment was not about show. It was about repentance. The fire was not for show. It was about changing hearts. In the same manner, your fire has a mission. You weren't set fire only to shine in the darkness. You were called to awaken, shatter strongholds, and restore order. This fire in your life is not a personal accomplishment. It is a heavenly instrument. You are heaven's tool, and your light is intended to be felt, seen, and followed. You weren't only picked to be strong. You were picked to be helpful. You are a spiritual torchbearer. When you come into a room, you are carrying more than just gifts. You carry a mission. You provide clarity. Where there is chaos, you shine. Truth. Where there is dishonesty, you instill bravery in those who are hesitant to speak. Your flame does more than merely keep people warm. It reawakens them. That is why people are uncomfortable around you even before you speak. That is why some relationships cannot last. That's why superficial interactions tire you. Because your fire is meant to challenge, not comply. You were not designed to blend in. You were meant to burn through. You're a spiritual matchstick. And when God touches your life, it never stops. Everything around you must catch fire or run. Your presence reveals what is hidden and highlights what is true. That is why hell has attempted to silence you, isolate you, and make you question yourself. Not because your fire is little, but because it causes disturbance, which is hazardous to darkness. Your passion motivates others. It promotes healing. It condemns hearts. It transports particles home. It reminds people of who they really are. Your fire is more than simply a barrier. It is a lighthouse for the broken, a lighthouse for a generation, drowning in falsehoods, a flame of hope when everything else becomes dull. That is why the adversary is attacking your flame, not because it is about you, but because it inspires others. He understands that saying yes will shatter bonds. He understands that people's lives will change. When you talk, the devil is not intimidated by your presence. He's terrified of what it will trigger. So don't conceal it. Don't shrink to fit in. God has asked you to stand out. You were not lighted for stillness. You were given the power to affect others. Not the social or platform sort, but the kind that moves souls, stirs spirits, and transports paradise into hellish places. Let your fire burn purposefully. Let it testify. Allow it to recover. Allow it to cool. Others were brought out of lukewarm life and into the presence of the living God. You are not only holding a light for yourself, you're carrying it for everyone who values your obedience. The fire you bear is both a gift and a duty. You are a vessel of holy fire, and the world needs what you alone carry. So burn the selected one. Burn with boldness. Burn with the truth. Burn with love. Because your fire is not just yours. It's God's response to another's darkness. Chapter 6. When you feel alone, recall Elijah's cave, chosen one. Even God's most daring fighters have times when the fire inside them flickers. Elijah, the prophet who brought down fire, shut the sky, and destroyed hundreds of false prophets, found himself sheltering in a cave, exhausted after one of his greatest triumphs. He had one of his lowest points. That disparity is not odd. It is part of the trip. Why? Because people who bear the greatest fire often struggle with the deepest loneliness. Those with the loudest anointing often pass through the quietest valleys. Elijah sat in the cave and wept, "Lord, I've had enough. Take my life. I am no better than my forebears." That was not weakness. That represented human honesty. That was the weight of the mantle, pushing down on a worn soul. The chosen one. Your fire does not insulate you from tiredness. Your calling does not save you from feeling alone. There will be moments, and maybe you've had several experiences in which you feel like the only one standing, the only one blazing while others kneel. However, being hidden does not mean being forgotten. And don't confuse tiredness for failure. God did not abandon Elijah in the cave. He met him there. He did not chastise him for being fatigued. He cared for him. He sent an angel to feed him. He permitted him to relax. He reminded him that the trek was too difficult for his strength alone. And once Elijah had been revived, God communicated a truth that broke the deception of solitude. You're not alone. I've set aside those who haven't submitted to Baal. That identical whisper is reaching your soul right now. You are not alone. Yes, your route is distinct. Yes, your battles are tough. Yes, your load is heavy. But you are not forgotten. You are not the only one searching for the truth. You are not alone in saying yes while others hesitated. There are others, hidden, scattered, refined, exactly like you. God is maintaining a remnant, a generation of firefighters who have neither compromised or bowed. You're one of them. Your cave does not exclude you. It prepares you. It demonstrates that you are human enough to feel yet determined enough to succeed. It shows God employs both the strong and the submissive. He strengthens what is genuine, not what is flawless. Let this be a reminder. God is with you within the cave. He isn't waiting for you to be mended. He meets you when you are broken. He nourishes your spirit with his presence. He restores your mind. With a whisper, he reminds you of your mission. He softly prompts you to stand again, not by your own strength, but by his. And when you leave this cave, you will not be empty-handed. You'll emerge grounded. You'll come out polished. You'll leave with a term that no one else has. Because no one else has gone through your fire. The cave is not where you are buried. It's your refueling station. The silence is not punishment. It's time to prepare. God is creating something worldwide, chosen one. And he is accomplishing it via individuals like you. Fiery and devoted. Sometimes, weary yet still selected. It is still blazing. Still marked. Chapter 7. Continue burning. They can't put it out. The chosen one. This is not the time to shrink. You didn't go through all that fire to be silent. You didn't endure the woods simply to live in quiet. You were born to burn, not just to shine, but to transform. The opponent attempted to distract, confuse, and wear you down. However, the flame inside you continued to burn, even when it seemed faint. It was not gone because it had not been kindled by a man. It was lighted by God. And what does he start with? Nobody can shut down. They labeled you too passionate, too much, and too unusual. They attempted to silence you. They attempted to categorize you, but nothing they did worked. What heaven has put within of you. Why? Because the fire inside you is not just for show. It's an assignment. This explains why you couldn't blend in. This is why some rooms felt uncomfortable. It explains why your soul rejected what others celebrated. Because your spark is sacred and refuses to be dampened. Now is the moment to go openly. Speak truth. Love profoundly. Serve humbly. Burn freely. The world does not need additional copies. It requires your fire, light, music, and obedience. This generation is seeking. The Spirit is moving, and the world is watching. They're waiting for proof. God is still speaking, moving, and setting hearts on fire. Let that person be you. Be passionate about your work. Burn your creativity. Burn silently. And in strategy, do not water it down. Do not apologize for it. Feed the flames with words, with adoration and obedience. And sometimes it seems like no one understands. Burn anyway. When the doors don't open immediately, burn anyway. When the fighting intensifies, burn anyway. You're not simply here. You've been allocated. You are not just enduring. You are igniting.